this is actually you once again, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm here to preview the deciders for the quarterfinals in the Champions League and the Europa League, and at the end of the week we'll see which teams will make it through to the last four in both competitions. It's set up to be there's going to be some interesting ties going to take place this week, and we'll see which teams can keep their dreams alive of European glory at the end of this season. So on Tuesday night we have the quarterfinal second legs in the Champions League. First up, it's Chelsea against Porto. This tie, second leg, has been played in Seville like the first leg was as well, given the travel restrictions between the countries of the two teams. And Chelsea look in pole position to go through to the semi-finals after holding a 2-0 lead from the first leg. And given what happened in the first leg, it doesn't really look like Porto are going to come back from this one. I know you'll never know in this competition. It throws up some big shocks over the years, but you just get the feeling with Chelsea, given how tight their defence has been, apart from when they conceded 5 against West Brom, you just get the feeling that it's going to be a very difficult task for Porto to turn this tie around and make it through to the semi-finals. So all the odds are pointing towards Chelsea to comfortably progress through, especially with that 2-0 lead from the first leg, and I don't really see that progression being in doubt in this second leg, given the fact that Porto are quite limited up top. I know they knocked out Juventus in the last round, but let's be honest, Juventus have been very poor this season, both in the Champions League and domestically, and so we can't really say that Porto are going to give Chelsea that many problems in this second leg, even though they might. But you just get the feeling with Chelsea at this minute in time, they're looking very good, as solid as a unit. They look like they're playing for the manager, and they look to have a really good chance of going all the way in this competition, which no one really expected them to do at the start. So all things are looking good for Chelsea, and I expect them to secure comfortable passage through to the final four. I think the result of this second leg, I think will be a Chelsea win. I think they'll have enough to beat Porto once more, and I think it'll be comfortable as well. So I'm going for a Chelsea 3-1 victory. And then for a 5-1 aggregate win, should I say. And then the other tie to take place on Tuesday night is a very mouth-watering one. Paris Saint-Germain against Bayern Munich at the Parc des Princes. The French side lead 3-2 from the first leg in Munich, and what a game that was last week. Even though Bayern Munich dominated the majority of the game, had about 31 shots on goal, yet they could only convert 2 of those shots into goals, and PSG have the advantage, but we all know with their history in this competition that nothing is taken for granted. We've seen them in the past collapse when they have such an advantage, even away from home. So it's not a foregone conclusion that they'll go through from this one. But history suggests that it will be on their side. Not many teams suffer a first leg defeat at home and then come back in the second leg to go through. So history is against Bayern Munich, but this is Bayern Munich we're talking about, the current European champions. Even though they're slightly weakened by the absences of Robert Lewandowski, Leon Goretzka, Serge Gnabry, to name a few for this game. They still have a lot of talent, and if they can pull this back, then it'll send a real warning to the rest of Europe that even when Bayern Munich look like they're going out, they could still find a way to stay in this competition, and that could be a ominous sign for all of their rivals who are trying to take their crown off them. So it's not going to be easy in this sense for PSG to get through this tie, finish the job in Paris, but the onus is really on Bayern Munich to go out and attack, given they need to score at least 2 goals to have a chance of going through, and even then they would still need to keep out PSG at the back, so more likely or not they need at least 3, so which is going to be difficult given the fact that PSG played very well in that first leg. Yes, they were on the back foot for most of that game, but they took the chances when needed, and if they're as clinical as they were last week on the counter-attack, then they could take this tie away from Bayern Munich and put out a real statement to the rest of Europe that this could be their year that they finally win that Champions League after so many years of heartache, of so many years of spending, trying to get themselves to the top of the European game. This could be a real statement if they can complete the job and knock out the current European champions, who have been formidable in this competition in recent years. So still everything to play for in this second leg, and I expect it will go down to the wire right until the final whistle. Bayern Munich won't give up that easily, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this one plays out in the second leg. But I think that Paris Saint-Germain, even though they're at home and they have been struggling at home domestically, I think with the attacking weapons they have up top, I think they'll have enough to get the job done and just about squeeze into the semi-finals. But I think Bayern Munich will get a result, but I just don't think it'll be enough for them to overturn that deficit they have from the first leg. So I'm going for a 2-2 draw between these two teams. And then on to Wednesday night, where we have first up Borussia Dortmund against Manchester City. City were heavy favourites going into this tie, and given their superior domestic performances over Borussia Dortmund and the fact they've got so much firepower up top, and of course Dortmund have such a leaky defence. But in the first leg they didn't really look like themselves, City. I know they won the first leg 2-1, which could be crucial come the end of this tie, but there were times where it looked like City were haunted by past failures in this competition. 3 successive quarter-final exits to teams that they were more than capable of beating hasn't really boded well for them, and those signs look to be on show once again when Dortmund equalised late on. But to their credit, City managed to get themselves back in front just before the end, and they now have that crucial advantage going into the second leg in Germany. Dortmund may only need a 1-0 win to get themselves through, but do you think that Dortmund, with their defence, how they've been playing at the back this season, they'll really keep out what is a much more potent Manchester City attack? Not really, so they'll be looking to go and try and score more goals, especially with the fact that Haaland's now on his mini goal drought. Don't think he's scored for almost a month now for club or country, so they'll really need him to end his goal drought in this game if they're to stand any chance of upsetting the odds and getting through to the semi-finals. But with that defence, then it's going to make it all the more difficult for him, given they're conceding goals left, right and centre. We saw the weekend how poor they were at the back against Stuttgart, and I expect that to continue in this second leg against a very good Manchester City side. So I think Dortmund might have a chance, but I just think City will have too much for them in the end. And I'm going for a 3-1 City win in Dortmund. I know that sounds a bit too ambitious of a scoreline, but given the fact that Dortmund really need to push forward and in numbers, then that could leave holes at the back for City with the likes of De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Sterling and Jesus to really capitalise on and end this tie quite convincingly for them. So I'm going for a 3-1 City win, which will see them through to the semi-finals. And then the final tie on Wednesday night is Liverpool against Real Madrid at Anfield. An empty Anfield this one, which makes their task of overturning a 3-1 deficit from the first leg all the more difficult. I mean, we've seen in the past that Liverpool have produced miracles at Anfield in fighting back to overcome big deficits from the first leg, but the fact there's not going to be any fans there makes this task more difficult for Liverpool to get themselves through. I know Real Madrid have got their own issues without Sergio Ramos, without Rafael Varane, but they didn't look like they'd missed them in that first leg when they completely dominated the match, particularly that first half where Liverpool did not offer much in attack, and 3-1 looks like they're going to be through to the semi-finals, even though a 2-0 win for Liverpool will do because of their away goal in Spain last week. But does it look like Liverpool's defence can keep a clean sheet against this Real Madrid attack, who are starting to click into gear at just the right time in the season? They won the El Clasico 2-1 at the weekend. I know that seems like a tight scoreline, but Real Madrid were much better than Barcelona, and just get the feeling they're starting to click, they're starting to come on strong, and I find it really difficult to see how Liverpool could turn this tie around and keep them out, particularly given their form at Anfield. Before the weekend, they lost 6 straight games in the league at Anfield, and even though they won at the weekend, they weren't really as convincing as they've been in previous years. So it's still tall order for them to really turn this tie around and get themselves through to the semi-finals for Liverpool. But you just never know. Even at an empty Anfield, if they put it all together and it all comes off, then maybe this could be the year that they win a 7th European title, take a step closer towards winning a 7th European title. But given the current form of the two sides, I don't really see that happening. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw at Anfield, which would see Real Madrid through to the semi-finals, 5-3 on aggregate. And then moving on to the ties on Thursday night in the UEFA Europa League. All four quarter-final ties look evenly poised, although one, the Granada Manchester United one, looks like it's pretty much tie over, and I'll start with that one first. Manchester United are at Old Trafford for the second leg with a 2-0 advantage from the first leg in Spain. Even though Granada did play well at times, they look very toothless in attack, and I don't really see that changing in Manchester as well. I think United will be fairly confident of getting the job done, and I think they will actually. Quite a comfortable one given how poor Granada have been in the league. Losing games left, right and centre to slide down the La Liga table. So I expect Manchester United to fire a few goals past them and make it more comfortable for themselves. But their form at Old Trafford this season hasn't really been that great. They've drew with AC Milan in the last 16 there, and with Real Sociedad in the round before, and lost at home to the likes of Sheffield United and Crystal Palace, among others, in the Premier League there. So it's not going to be as easy as many people think it would be, but you still expect Manchester United to finish the job and comfortably progress through to the last 4, and I think they'll do just that. It won't be easy, but I think that United will get the job done here. So I'm going for a 2-1 United win. And then the other British side, Arsenal, remaining in the Europa League, have a much more difficult task to get through to the semi-finals after being held to a 1-1 draw by Slavia Prague in the first leg at home. So they need to score in the Czech Republic to stand any chance of getting through and maintaining their hopes of winning a trophy this season, which would put them back in where they belong, which is the Champions League. But given how they've been performing of late, then it doesn't really look like they have much. There's real doubts as to whether they could pull this one off and make it through to the semi-finals. They can still do it, I believe, Arsenal, because they still have the potential to really hurt any opposition on their day. But it's just going to be difficult when you're going to a Czech side who haven't lost to a side who are flying domestically, haven't lost the league game after 25 in their domestic league, and hardly lose at home as well. So it's going to be a very difficult task for Arsenal to get the result they need. But just with their experience in Europe in the past and with the quality in their side, I still think that Arsenal will have enough to get it together when it really matters and finish the job off in Prague, but it won't be easy. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 Arsenal win in Prague, which will see them through to the semi-finals. And then the other ties that taking place on Thursday, first one in Rome is Roma against Ajax at the Olimpico. Roma hold a 2-1 lead from the first leg in Amsterdam. Bit of a smash and grab that, given Ajax were the better side, but Roma have that crucial advantage heading back to the Olimpico, and I expect them to finish the job off as well, given the fact that Ajax, they're not, even though they're capable of turning this tie around with the quality they have, I just don't think they have the experience and the know-how to really say to themselves, yes, we can really turn this around with the young players that are in their squad and the potential for them to be caught on a counter-attack more than once. So there's a potential that they could be on the end of a hiding, and I think that may occur given their need to push forward and chase this tie. So I expect the Roma to capitalise on the opportunities they have on a counter-attack, and that should be enough for them to get themselves through to the semi-finals. But it won't be easy. Ajax will try their best to stay in the tie for as long as possible, but I just don't think they'll have enough to completely turn this tie around for me. So I'm going for a 2-1 Roma win in the Olimpico. And then the final tie is Villarreal against Dinamo Zagreb. The Spanish side hold a 1-0 lead from the first leg in Croatia. It was a very professional performance by Unai Emery and his side out there. And given their form at home in this season's competition, I struggle to make a case as to how Dinamo could turn this around. I know they did it against Spurs in the round of 16, but let's be honest, Spurs were absolutely terrible in that second leg in Croatia. And it was a case of, I'd take nothing away from Dinamo Zagreb, but it was more of a case of Spurs losing their heads more than the fact that Dinamo were absolutely brilliant. So you just get the feeling that if Dinamo are to stand a chance, then they really need Villarreal's players to have an off night, and I don't think they really will. I mean, this is their chance to win the Europa League and get themselves into the Champions League as well. And Unai Emery, their manager, is a specialist in winning this competition, having won it 3 times with Sevilla. So you wouldn't expect Villarreal to let their foot off the gas, knowing that they've got that lead, and they'll be looking to try and make it more comfortable for themselves. So I expect Villarreal to win once again in this one. Dinamo Zagreb will try and put up as much of a fight as possible, but I don't think they'll have enough quality really and experience to really say to themselves, we can turn this around. So I'm going for a Villarreal win. It won't be easy, but I expect them still to complete the job. So I'm going for a 2-0 Villarreal win in the El Madrigal, which will see them through to the semi-finals. And that's it for my preview and predictions for all of this week's European ties. It's going to be fascinating to see which teams make it through to the semi-finals of both competitions, and also what the semi-finals are, given the fact that, of course, the semi-final draw was made along with the quarter-final draw as well. So it'll be interesting to see what the semi-finals are by the end of this week, and we'll look forward to having all of my reaction and review for each and every one of these games by the end of this week. So stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoy watching this video as usual. Hope you enjoy watching my content, and keep looking forward to seeing what I've got to put up on my YouTube channel. So hope you're enjoying it. Hope you're enjoying your day as usual, and I look forward to seeing you all again as usual as well. So thank you all for listening, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day. I'm out of it.